The night air is cold, sharp enough to feel like a physical presence against the skin. It clings to the lonely stretch of highway, a ribbon of worn asphalt cutting through dormant farmland. Officer Dale Murdoch likes the cold. It keeps the riffraff indoors. It makes the world feel clean, simple, and under his control. He sits in his patrol car, a behemoth of steel and flashing lights, parked just over the crest of a low hill. A predator's perch. The engine hums a low, guttural song of authority, a counterpoint to the static hissing from the radio. 20 years on the force have carved Dale Murdoch into a man of granite and prejudice. His face is a roadmap of petty grievances, his eyes two chips of ice that see the world not in shades of gray, but in the stark, simple colors of his own biases. He believes in order. His order. The world outside his cruiser's window is a chaotic mess of people who don't know their place, and he sees it as his God-given duty to put them back in it. The boredom of the late shift is a physical ache, a deep-seated irritation that gnaws at him. He craves a spark. A moment of friction to remind him he is alive, that he is in charge. Then, he sees it. A pair of headlights crests the hill, slicing through the darkness. It is not the headlights that catch his attention, but the car they belong to. A 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. Raven black, with a deep, liquid shine that speaks of meticulous care and a lot of money. Murdoch's lip curls into a sneer. He knows these cars. He knows what they cost. He also sees the silhouette behind the wheel. Young. Black. A woman. The three facts collide in his mind and ignite the spark he has been waiting for. They do not belong together. Not in his town. Not on his watch. His hand moves from his lukewarm coffee to the switch for the light bar. He does not need a reason. He is the reason. Inside the Mustang, Master Sergeant Anaya Williams feels the rumble of the 428 Cobra jet engine through the floorboards. It is a familiar, comforting vibration, a connection to her father, who spent years with her in his garage, patiently teaching her how to rebuild this very machine. The car is more than metal and paint. It is a sanctuary. A time capsule of grease-stained hands and shared laughter. She is on her way home from the base, a grueling 72-hour training exercise having left every muscle in her body screaming in protest. She is a pararescueman, a PJ. Her job is to drop into the worst places on Earth to save people who are having the worst day of their lives. She has stitched wounds under fire, performed emergency tracheotomies in the back of a bucking helicopter, and carried wounded soldiers twice her size through impossible terrain. Right now, she is just a tired woman in a gray hoodie and sweatpants, wanting nothing more than a hot shower and 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The sudden explosion of red and blue light in her rearview mirror shatters the calm. It fills the cabin of her car, painting the black leather seats in frantic, pulsing strokes of color. Anaya's heart does not race. Her breath does not catch. Her training takes over. Observe. Orient. Decide. Act. She observes the road, finds a safe, wide shoulder, and signals her intent. She orients herself to the situation, a traffic stop, late at night, on a deserted road. She decides on a course of action, compliance, calm, control. She acts, pulling the Mustang to a smooth stop, killing the engine, and turning on her interior dome light. She places her hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, where they can be clearly seen. She has done this before. She knows the drill. She waits. The minutes stretch, each second a deliberate act of intimidation from the officer in the car behind her. He is running her plates. He is sizing her up. He is letting her stew in the flashing lights, reminding her of who holds all the power. Finally, a heavy door slams, and footsteps crunch on the gravel shoulder. A large shadow falls over her driver's side window. Anaya does not turn to look. She keeps her eyes forward. A sharp rap on the glass makes her flinch, not from fear, but from the sheer, unnecessary aggression of it. She powers down the window. The cold air rushes in, carrying with it the scent of pine and the officer's sour disposition. License and registration, the voice is a low growl, devoid of any courtesy. Of course, officer, Anaya's voice is steady, professional. She reaches slowly, deliberately, for the glove compartment, her movements telegraphing her every intention. She retrieves the registration and her insurance card. Then, she reaches for her wallet in her purse on the passenger seat. Do you know why I pulled you over? He asks, his flashlight beam dancing across her face, blinding her. No, officer, I do not. She knows she has not been speeding. She knows she used her signal. She knows her tail lights are working because she checked them herself this morning, a ritual ingrained from her father. Your left tail light is out. It is a lie. A lazy, boilerplate lie. Anaya feels a flicker of anger, but she smothers it instantly. Emotion is a liability. She hands him her documents. He snatches them from her hand. His flashlight beam drops from her face to the papers, then back to her. This is a nice car, he says, the words dripping with insinuation. Thank you. A little too nice for this neighborhood. A little too nice for you. There it is. The quiet part, said out loud. Anaya says nothing. She lets the silence hang in the air, a testament to his prejudice. His eyes scan her driver's license, then her face. He is looking for a reaction. Fear, anger, anything to justify his aggression. She gives him nothing. She is a gray rock. Immovable. He shines his light into her wallet as she holds it. The beam catches the crisp, holographic sheen of another ID card, tucked neatly behind her driver's license. A United States Armed Forces Common Access card. What's that? He grunts, gesturing with the flashlight. That is my military identification, officer. He lets out a short, sharp bark of a laugh. It is a genuinely amused sound, and it is the ugliest thing Anaya has ever heard. Right, he scoffs, the word thick with disbelief. Let me see it. Anaya hesitates for a fraction of a second. She is not required to show it for a traffic violation. But she knows what defiance will bring. She slowly, carefully, slides the card from its slot and hands it to him. He holds it between a thumb and forefinger as if it is something dirty. The card clearly identifies her. Williams, Anaya. Rank, MSGT. Branch, U.S. Air Force. He studies it, then looks at her, then back at the card. The sneer on his face deepens into a broad, mocking grin. Master Sergeant. You. He laughs again, louder this time. The sound echoes in the quiet night. Little girl, you don't look like any Master Sergeant I've ever seen. A younger officer, his partner, materializes from the darkness behind him. He looks barely out of his teens, his face a mask of nervous uncertainty. He hears Murdoch's laughter and shifts his weight, uncomfortable. Everything okay, Dale? The rookie asks, his voice thin. Everything's hilarious, Miller, Murdoch growls, not taking his eyes off Anaya. We got ourselves a real G.I. Jane here. Playing dress-up with a fake ID. Anaya's blood runs cold. The insult is not just to her. It is to her uniform, her service, her oath. It is to every woman who has ever fought to be taken seriously in a world of men like him. Officer, that is a valid, government-issued identification, she says, her voice dangerously calm. To suggest otherwise is a serious accusation. Her calmness seems to infuriate him even more. Oh, it's a serious accusation, is it? He mimics in a high-pitched, mocking tone. Well, forgery of a federal document is a serious crime. He leans in closer, his face just inches from her window. She can smell the stale coffee on his breath. Where'd you get it? Your boyfriend give it to you before he deployed? Or did you just buy it off the internet for $10? This is the line. He has just walked over it without a second thought. He has dismissed her entire career, her entire identity, as a prop borrowed from a man. Anaya's training is a fortress. Inside that fortress, a cold, quiet fury begins to build. She does not let it show. Not yet. Officer Murdoch, she says, reading his name tag in the reflected glow of his own flashlight. I suggest you run that ID. You will find it is valid. I don't need to run it, he snarls, his good humor gone, replaced by pure venom. I know a fake when I see one. And I know a liar when I see 1 inch. He straightens up, puffing out his chest. He is enjoying this. The power. The humiliation he is inflicting. Step out of the car, he commands. The rookie, Miller, takes a half step back. Dale, maybe we should just write the ticket for the tail light and go, he mutters, his voice barely a whisper. Shut up, Miller, Murdoch snaps without looking at him. I'm handling this. Now, out of the car. Hands where I can see them. Anaya takes a slow, steadying breath. She unbuckles her seatbelt. She opens the door and swings her legs out, her movements fluid and controlled. She stands, her 5'7" frame seeming small next to Murdoch's bulk. But she stands straight. Her spine is a rod of steel. Turn around. Hands on the roof of the car. She complies. The cold metal of her Mustang feels like a betrayal against her palms. Murdoch grabs her arm, his grip unnecessarily tight. You are making a very big mistake, officer, she says, her voice low and even. The only mistake here was you thinking you could lie to me, he says, his voice smug. You're going to jail tonight, little girl. Forgery. Resisting arrest. We'll find something else, I'm sure. He reaches for his handcuffs. In that moment, a subtle change occurs in the night. A sound so faint it is almost imperceptible. A low, electric hum. Anaya hears it first. Her senses, honed by years of operating in hostile environments, are far sharper than his. Murdoch fumbles with his cuffs, his attention entirely on his victim. He does not see the pair of headlights that appear over the hill, moving fast and silently. He does not see them turn off the main road and onto the shoulder behind his cruiser. He does not see that they are not headlights, but the flat, blackout infrared lights of a military vehicle. A sleek, black Chevrolet Suburban, the kind used by government agencies and special operations units, glides to a silent stop 20 feet away. Its engine makes almost no noise. Then another pulls up beside it. And another. And another. Within 30 seconds, the lonely stretch of highway shoulder is occupied by a convoy of 4 identical, menacing black SUVs. They sit there for a moment, their dark-tinted windows reflecting the frantic flashing of Murdoch's patrol lights. The scene is suddenly surreal. Murdoch finally notices something is wrong. The reflection in the Mustang's polished paint shows more than just his own cruiser's lights. He turns, his hand still on Anaya's arm, his mouth half open to say something. The words die in his throat. The doors of the 4 SUVs open in perfect, silent unison. 12 figures emerge. They are all dressed in muted green flight suits or tactical fatigues. They move with a purpose and economy of motion that speaks of relentless training. They do not run. They do not shout. They simply advance, spreading out in a loose, semicircular formation. They are a wall of silent, disciplined professionalism. They stop about 10 feet away, their faces unreadable in the strobing lights. The lead figure steps forward. She is a woman, tall and lean, with silver hair cut in a severe, military style. Colonel's eagles are pinned to the collar of her flight suit. Her eyes are the color of a winter sky, and they are fixed on Murdoch's hand on Anaya's arm. Murdoch's brain struggles to process what is happening. His small kingdom of the highway shoulder has been invaded by a force he cannot comprehend. Who the hell are you? He stammers, his bravado crumbling into dust. The colonel does not answer his question. Her voice, when she speaks, is not loud, but it cuts through the night air like a surgeon's scalpel. You have 10 seconds to remove your hand from my Master Sergeant. The title hangs in the air. Master Sergeant. Murdoch's eyes flick from the colonel, to the silent soldiers behind her, and finally to the small woman in the hoodie whose arm he is still gripping. He sees her not as a little girl anymore. He sees the way she stands. The way she watches him, her eyes calm and assessing. The way the 12 soldiers are watching him, their gaze is unwavering. His hand flies off her arm as if it has been burned. He takes a clumsy step back, his hand instinctively going to the grip of his sidearm. Do not, the colonel says, her voice dropping a full octave. It is not a request. It is a command backed by the full weight of the United States military. Murdoch's hand freezes. The rookie, Miller, looks like he is about to faint. He holds his hands up in a gesture of surrender, as if to distance himself from the catastrophe unfolding before him. Anaya slowly lowers her hands from the roof of her car. She turns and walks to stand beside the colonel. She looks at her commanding officer. Colonel Rostova. I apologize for the inconvenience. Colonel Eva Rostova gives her a brief, almost imperceptible nod. Not an inconvenience, Sergeant. We were running a tracking drill. Your vehicle is equipped with a non-emitting transponder. When it stopped on a highway shoulder for more than 5 minutes, it triggered a welfare alert. My compliments on your situational awareness in activating it. Anaya had done no such thing. She realizes with a jolt that the colonel is giving her an out, a cover story. The truth is simpler, they watch out for their own. When one of their elite PJs is off base and unaccounted for, they know. They always know. Rostova turns her icy gaze back to Murdoch. Officer. Your name and badge number. Murdoch is speechless. His mind is a frantic scramble of fear and confusion. This is a police matter, he manages to say, his voice cracking. You have no jurisdiction here. You are interfering with the operational readiness of a member of the 24th Special Tactics Squadron, Rostova states, her tone flat and clinical. That makes it a federal matter. And that gives me all the jurisdiction I need. Your name. Now. Miller, the rookie, finds his voice. He's Officer Dale Murdoch, ma'am. Badge 714-inch. Murdoch shoots Miller a look of pure betrayal. Rostova ignores him. Officer Murdoch, she says, tasting the name with obvious distaste. State the reason for this traffic stop. Her taillight is out, he stammers, clinging to his lie like a drowning man to a piece of driftwood. Rostova raises an eyebrow. She looks at Anaya. Sergeant, please activate your vehicle's hazard lights. Anaya reaches into her car and presses the button. All 4 turn signals begin to flash in perfect rhythm. The left taillight, the one Murdoch claimed was broken, blinks a bright, defiant red into the darkness. A collective, silent judgment seems to emanate from the assembled airmen. It seems you are mistaken, officer, Rostova says, her voice dangerously soft. It must have just started working again, Murdoch sputters, his lie now pathetic and transparent. I see. Rostova pulls out her phone. She taps the screen a few times. Officer Miller, she says, her gaze shifting to the terrified rookie. Was the taillight functional when you were following the vehicle? Miller looks at Murdoch, then at the stone-faced colonel and her squadron of elite soldiers. He makes a choice. Yes, ma'am, he says, his voice barely audible. It was working. Murdoch's face turns a shade of purple. What are you doing, kid? He hisses. Rostova holds up a hand, silencing him. Master Sergeant Williams alleges that you accused her of carrying a fraudulent military identification card. Is this correct? I was just verifying. Is it correct, Officer Murdoch? Rostova's voice cracks like a whip. Yes, he spits out, the admission tasting like poison. And you were in the process of arresting her on what grounds? Suspicion of forgery of a government document, he says, trying to inject some authority back into his voice. It fails miserably. Rostova nods slowly. She puts her phone to her ear. Colonel Rostova here, she says into the phone. I need to speak with the Judge Advocate General. Yes, right now. I have a civilian law enforcement officer attempting to illegally detain one of my senior NCOs and making baseless accusations about the validity of her credentials. Patch me through to General Vance's emergency line. The name, General Vance, seems to suck all the remaining air out of the night. Murdoch's face goes from purple to chalk white. He knows that name. Everyone in a 100-mile radius of Fort Rexford knows that name. General Marcus Vance is the base commander. A 3-star general who commands an installation with more personnel than the entire population of Murdoch's town. A man who can make one phone call and end careers, start federal investigations, and bring the full, crushing weight of the Department of Defense down on anyone who crosses him. Ma'am, perhaps there's been a misunderstanding, Murdoch says, his voice now a desperate, pleading whine. Rostova holds up a finger, signaling for him to be silent, while she listens to the voice on the other end of the phone. Yes, General. Colonel Rostova. I'm on Highway 17, just past the county line. I have a situation here involving Master Sergeant Williams. Yes, sir, she's fine. She has, however, been subject to a level of harassment and unprofessional conduct that I find deeply disturbing. The officer's name is Dale Murdoch, badge 714, of the Maple Creek Police Department. Yes, sir, he accused her of carrying a fake ID. Yes, he was placing her under arrest. Rostova listens for another moment. Understood, General. I will secure the scene and await their arrival. Thank you, sir. She hangs up. She looks at Murdoch, and for the first time, there is something other than ice in her eyes. It is pity. The kind of pity one feels for an insect about to be crushed under a boot. General Vance has been in contact with the regional FBI field office, as well as the state attorney general, she informs him, her tone now purely informational. He has also taken the liberty of calling your chief of police at his home. I believe they are all on their way. Murdoch looks like he has been physically struck. He opens and closes his mouth, but no sound comes out. His entire world, the one where he was the king, has just been dismantled and incinerated in the space of 5 minutes. He looks at Anaya. He sees the quiet strength in her eyes, the unwavering composure. He realizes, with a dawning, sickening horror, that he did not just pull over a random woman. He pulled a pin from a grenade, and the whole world is about to explode in his face. The next 20 minutes are the longest of Dale Murdoch's life. He stands in a state of suspended animation, trapped in the cold glare of a dozen pairs of military eyes. No one speaks. The only sounds are the hum of the idling SUVs and the frantic, useless chatter from Murdoch's own radio, which he does not have the courage to answer. Then, the distant sound of sirens. Not just one. Many. A caravan of lights appears on the horizon, approaching at high speed. First to arrive is a battered sedan, driven far too fast by a man in a rumpled suit. It skids to a stop. A portly, balding man bursts out of the driver's side. Chief Frank Bowers. His face is a mess of panic and fury. He sees Murdoch, the military vehicles, the soldiers, and the woman in the flight suit with eagles on her collar. He looks like he's going to have a heart attack. Murdoch. What in God's name have you done? He bellows, his voice shaking with rage. Before Murdoch can answer, 2 more vehicles arrive. Dark, unmarked sedans. 4 men in dark suits get out. They move with the same quiet confidence as the airmen. One of them flashes a badge at Chief Bowers. FBI. The scene is ours now, Chief. Bowers's face falls. The lead agent walks over to Colonel Rostova and extends a hand. Agent Thompson. The general called us. We were already building a file on Officer Murdoch for civil rights complaints. Looks like tonight is our lucky night. Rostova shakes his hand. Colonel Rostova. It's your jurisdiction, Agent. But my people are staying until my master sergeant is cleared to leave. Understood, Colonel, Thompson says with a nod of respect. He turns to Murdoch. Officer Murdoch, you are being placed under arrest for deprivation of rights under color of law. 2 other agents step forward. They take Murdoch's weapon and expertly cuff his hands behind his back. The click of the handcuffs is the loudest sound in the world. Murdoch does not resist. The fight has gone out of him completely. He is a deflated balloon, a hollow man. As they lead him away, his eyes find Anaya's one last time. They are filled with a pathetic mixture of hatred and disbelief. Why, he mouths silently. Anaya looks at him, at the men who laughed at her, who belittled her, who tried to strip her of her dignity and her freedom over a non-existent broken taillight. She gives him his answer, her voice clear and strong, for all to hear. You asked if I stole my ID, she says. No, officer. I earned it. I earned it in places you wouldn't last 10 seconds. You should remember that. She turns her back on him then, dismissing him from her life. She watches as they place him in the back of an FBI sedan, a disgraced bully in a bad suit, his reign of petty tyranny over. The fallout is immediate and catastrophic for Dale Murdoch. The FBI's existing case against him, now bolstered by the irrefutable evidence from the traffic stop and Officer Miller's testimony, is airtight. They uncover a pattern of dozens of similar stops, all targeting minorities in expensive cars, all based on fabricated infractions. He is charged with multiple counts of violating U.S. Code Title 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. The involvement of a decorated member of Air Force Special Operations elevates the case to national prominence. The Maple Creek Police Department is thrown into chaos. Chief Frank Bowers, facing federal charges for obstruction of justice for burying years of complaints against Murdoch, is forced to resign in disgrace. He pleads guilty to lesser charges in exchange for his testimony against Murdoch, ending his 30-year career in law enforcement with a felony conviction and the loss of his entire pension. The department is placed under a federal consent decree, with the Department of Justice taking over its training, hiring, and internal affairs for the foreseeable future. Dale Murdoch, convinced of his own victimhood to the very end, refuses a plea deal. He goes to trial. It is a short, brutal affair. Officer Miller, now hailed as a whistleblower, provides damning testimony. Colonel Rostova takes the stand, her presence commanding the courtroom. Master Sergeant Anaya Williams recounts the events of that night with a calm, unshakable credibility that leaves the jury in awe. The body camera footage is played. The sound of Murdoch's condescending voice and his mocking laughter at Anaya's military ID fills the silent courtroom. He is found guilty on all counts. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a history of handing down harsh sentences for abuses of power, looks down at Murdoch from the bench. "You took an oath to protect and serve," she says, her voice filled with contempt. "Instead, you used your badge as a weapon to indulge your own bigotry. You are a disgrace to the uniform you once wore." She sentences him to the maximum allowed by law. 15 years in a federal penitentiary. No possibility of parole. For Anaya, life returns to the demanding rhythm of her career. She receives a formal commendation from the Secretary of the Air Force for her grace and professionalism under extreme duress. The story becomes a legend within the special operations community, a cautionary tale about messing with one of their own. Her squadron, already a tight-knit family, becomes even closer. The incident lights a new fire in her. She volunteers to work with the JAG Corps, helping to develop new training protocols for service members on how to handle hostile encounters with civilian law enforcement. She becomes an advocate, a voice for those who do not have a squadron of PJs to call for backup. The rookie, Matthew Miller, leaves the toxic environment of the Maple Creek PD. With a letter of recommendation from Colonel Rostova, he is accepted into a larger, more professional department in a nearby city. His honesty and courage have defined the start of his career, and he goes on to become a respected and decorated officer, one who understands the true meaning of integrity. The system, in this one small instance, has been held accountable. The gears of justice, so often rusted and slow, have turned with surprising, cleansing force. 2 years later. The auditorium is brightly lit, filled with the nervous energy of new beginnings. On one side sit 24 new recruits for the city police department, their uniforms stiff and new. On the other side sit 24 young airmen, fresh from basic training, their futures in the Air Force stretching before them. It is the first session of a new joint training initiative, a program designed to build bridges between the local and military communities. A program born from the ashes of Dale Murdoch's career. At the podium stands Senior Master Sergeant Anaya Williams. The promotion came a year ago. She wears her dress blues, the uniform immaculate, the stripes on her sleeve a testament to her experience and leadership. Her voice is calm, confident, and resonant as she addresses the room. "Power comes in many forms," she says, her eyes sweeping across the young faces before her. "It comes with a badge. It comes with a uniform. But true authority, the kind that lasts, comes from respect. And respect is not something you can demand. It is something you must earn, every single day." She speaks about her experiences, not with bitterness, but with the clarity of a lesson learned and a trial overcome. She talks about prejudice as a form of blindness, a self-inflicted wound that prevents you from seeing the world as it is. Never assume you know who you are talking to, she advises them. The person you dismiss might be the one you will one day need to save your life. The person you underestimate might be the one who holds you accountable for your actions. In the back of the auditorium, Colonel Eva Rostova stands, her arms crossed, a rare, proud smile on her face. Next to her stands Sergeant Matthew Miller, his new uniform sharp, his posture confident. He is one of the lead instructors for the police academy now, helping to shape a new generation of officers. He catches Anaya's eye and gives her a respectful nod. She nods back. They are allies now, partners in a shared mission. Anaya concludes her speech. "Your uniform, your badge, it does not make you a hero. Your actions do. Your integrity does. Your courage to do the right thing, especially when no one is watching, is what defines you. Never forget that. The room erupts in applause. Later, as she is leaving, Anaya walks past her Mustang, still gleaming under the afternoon sun. It is just a car, but it is also a symbol. A symbol of her history, her independence, and the night a small man full of hate made the biggest mistake of his life. He thought her strength was in her uniform, in her rank, in the squadron that came to her aid. He was wrong. Her strength was in her character, a core of tempered steel forged in discipline, integrity, and a refusal to be broken. The uniform was just a label. The real power was in the woman who wore it. And that was a power Dale Murdoch, in his world of simple, ugly certainties, could never have understood.